Commissioners, we do have one change to the agenda. We would like to remove item number 3, the presentation from the Northern Plains Botanical Garden. Unfortunately, they had a last minute change in their schedule and are unable to make it tonight.
Okay, so we're crossing off number 3. All right, do we have a motion to approve the agenda as corrected?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving on to the consent agenda. So we had a few things on the consent agenda, including some bids that were all covered in the planning meeting. We have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, Jeff, please poll the board.
Commissioner Deutsch,
Aye.
Commissioner Absey,
Aye.
Commissioner Hill,
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson.
Aye, motion carries. On to the regular agenda, we have no one signed up to speak, so we'll move past number 1 and go on to the director's report. Susan Claus.
Spring fever is in the air. I think all of us, as well as the community, are ready to get out and enjoy some of our parks. So just a few updates. Dust off your golf clubs. The driving range is going to open. The driving ranges will open tomorrow, starting at 10 o'clock. And then we're hoping that the courses will be able to open next week. Of course, weather permitting.
Even Rose Creek is tomorrow, about the artificial.
I don't believe so. Okay, so Edgewood, Edgewood and Osborne. Thanks, Joe, for clarification. Yes, and they will be hitting on mats.
The permits. Permanent turkey put in.
Yay! Just a couple of updates in parks. As far as restrooms, so staff are monitoring really the temperatures and anticipate being able to open the restrooms in our parks as soon as we have some consistent temperatures that are not freezing overnight. So we anticipate that hopefully will be in the next week or so. And then all of the pickleball nets, tennis nets are out. So the courts are open for play this spring. And then just a quick update on our seasonal hiring. We are in a really good spot for our seasonal hiring. We were fortunate. We have a lot of returning employees that are coming back in all of our different areas. And we also had a really good pool of applicants to choose from this year. So we are ready for our next season, our warm season. I think we're all excited about that. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have anything? Okay, we'll move on to number 4. Another fun thing, playgrounds. Consideration of 2026 playground replacement project bids, Tyler Kirshner and Kenna. Lack of all last name. Give me a shot. Help me out.
Kirshner is one of the technical.
I mean, it's kind of, it's a more fun spelling of Tyler's last name.
We did talk about how close it is.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. So in front of you, tonight we're going to talk about the bid results for our playground projects. This year we had 3 of them. Anderson, Tharaldson, Point West, and Milwaukee Trail South, that's the Central course. For each of the 3 projects, we received 5 bids. After reviewing the bids with our consultants, our staff, we decided that all 5 bids met the qualifications, the minimum qualifications for Anderson, Tharaldson, and Point West. But only one bid met the requirements for Milwaukee Trail South Adventure Course. So what we did with that information, we asked from that information, we asked the public to help as a part of this with the selection through our community engagement process. Where Jen is here to help out. And then, excuse me, I kind of lost myself. So with that, what we did is for the first 2, the plan was to take all of our bids, go out to public, and decide what the final bidder would be, or the award would be for the project. So we were able to do that with Anderson, Tharaldson, and then Points West, because we did have many bidders on the last one, the adventure course. We decided since we had one to put it up for options for 3 different color choices for the community. So that's where I'll kind of pitch it over to Jen and she can just talk about and explain about the process.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with local works. Awesome, well, thank you for having us. First of all, just wanted to make a quick moment. This was a super fun engagement to start off with. It's my first one. Playgrounds, we love them. And I think the really cool part about this one is really what it is making sure that the spaces that the community engaging are reflecting how they want to play. And that just kind of sets the tone for how I went into approaching this engagement. So in terms of kind of our strategy, we wanted to make sure that this reached people outside of even just Fargo. A lot of people, especially who go out Anderson Carlson, are coming in for baseball tournaments. They might not live here, but are going to be using those spaces. So we did a social media campaign, making sure that we were showing up across Meta and LinkedIn. And then we had some physical media, so ground signage on site at the playgrounds. It was February, so it was a little colder, so maybe not as much traffic as we've seen previously, but still a really good engagement pool. And then also TV sliders both here and at First Plus as well, as we had Milwaukee over there, it's adjacent enough, so we did sliders over there, and then flyers as well between the Sports Center and First Plus. So lots of different ways for people to reach the engagement and give us their feedback. So we had 681 total across all the sites. I would say a more accurate representation is that 277 because it counted if they voted for Anderson, Carlson, Point Pleasant, and Milwaukee, it kind of inflates that total engagement. So in terms of individual responses, it's more in that like 270 range, which is a healthy amount, I think, for using this as like a direction, pivotal information. So thinking about traffic, again, this just kind of highlights our strategy. So we were seeing stuff come through on social media. The directing campaigns is going to give someone a direct link or scanning a QR code. Even search engines and AI assistants showed up, which I thought was interesting. People are maybe going to ChatGPT and looking for our engagement. So kind of, broadens my horizons of maybe other places we want to think about showing up or ranking as well. And then how this engagement was used. So one thing I do want to call out is that the responses were weighted. So residents in the local neighborhoods were awarded 3 points for their response. People within Fargo, Moorhead, or just Fargo were 2 points, and then outside of Fargo or the other selection got 1 point to make sure that those local residents were getting a little bit more sway on what is in their neighborhood. And then from there, we kind of just went through feedback, looked at the sentiments, and moved forward with our selections. So Anderson Carlson, we ended up going with Dakota Fence, really fun baseball themed playground, which is very different to the location. Then we had Point West as well, which was American Fence or Henderson. You'd probably be able to speak to the, bitter terminology better than I would. And then for Milwaukee, like Tyler said, this one was just the color selection. So we already knew it was going to be the adventure course, and then we moved forward with the navy, teal, and lime green was the community selection there. And then overall, kind of some similar through lines. I did throw all the sentimental data into AI and just said kind of what are we seeing as consistent through lines. Desire for variety was a big one, so making sure it's intergenerational. Toddlers and adolescents can play in the same space. It can grow kind of as the community grows. And then also that unique and visually engaging design, which I think speaks really well to like Anderson Carlson, where you're seeing the baseball theme showing up in the play space, which is relevant to the space that it's in. And then for next steps, kind of where we go from here, I will go ahead and publish the engagement results with these slides along with kind of some of that sentimental data on kind of for parks. And then Tyler's team will move forward with getting contracts signed and getting playground installations ready for launch. So, yeah. Or things like that.
It's just interesting to see, when we were going through the sentiments that were left, it's really aligning with what we see in the Park System Master Plan. Uniqueness, right? That's and then a variety of things. Playgrounds are great, but they're not everything for everybody. I think there's a different uniqueness, other styles of play opportunities, I think is what we see in the sentiment. One thing to add just on this process was, before we got to this step where we were today, we asked the Milwaukee Trail South users just that very question. Do you want a traditional style or more of an alternative? We went with an adventure course style, and obviously that was reflected in what you saw today. So it really, for me, you know, just going through the park system master plan process, it just reinforces me, to me, the work that we're doing there is aligning with the little things that we're seeing here tonight, so. That's
No, that's excellent.
I really like that we're challenging the companies, saying, you bring us what you got, bring us the best you got, best ideas you got, rather than us saying, fit in this box. So, because we're getting a lot of different, what I would say are really cool ideas. I wanted to, just a couple of comments on the engagement, which is super, super interesting, and I find really valuable beyond even just this piece, but you know, people who are filling this out, they're really thinking it through. I mean, some of their comments are, you know, a lot of people were commenting, like we Point West, how many apartment buildings there are and how big the playground needs to be. You know, somebody commented about the swing options, lots of interesting elements. And then there was one where, oh yeah, the kids and I voted. So like a parent grabbed their kids and said, hey, here are the choices, and had them engage in it, and they talked through what they thought were the coolest features and stuff. And then even like the targeted age group would prefer the red and black look isn't something that stands out to kids and just blends in as a mom. So I just like that people aren't just going, oh yeah, I mean, they're vested. So it's kind of neat to see how when they're given the opportunity, the public really likes to be part of it, so.
You know, something that we've started from the beginning was trying to make sure that we still hold to these community parks, right? The more people are gonna be obviously around them, the adjacency. So I think Kenna and her team did a great job being able to provide that ranking, so that we could then look at, you know, who are the local people within the surrounding community, who are in Fargo, and then who are Fargo and beyond, right? They all have a voice, we're just weighted a little bit differently, and I thought they did a really great job of being able to sit through that information, so.
Well, pretty good for a first round.
Thank you. I have lots of additional ideas.
Great.
Let's start scale.
Going up from here. If maybe has any other comments?
Well, one thing that you mentioned last round of parks is the accessibility component and how that has to be part of the proposal. And I think that is also showing the direction we're going, of we're taking that into account, and it has to have that piece, otherwise we're not going to look at it, or like, you know, it's not an option. And so I think making sure that everybody has access to the parks is wonderful. One question, Tyler, is for maybe people listening online or someone who clicks this link, what is the process for picking what parks we update?
Yeah, good question. So our team, so Tony and his crew, they basically send people out throughout all the parks, and they basically take an inventory. That inventory is age, condition, accessibility, many different criteria that they go through. And then what we do as a group is we evaluate that criteria to see what project kind of rises to the top. Accessibility, sometimes the oldest doesn't always make the top of the list, but when you're talking about accessibility, one thing that we're up against a little bit on an industry change, now it's not so long ago, but we're still kind of recovering from there. Typically, we've done plastic borders in the past. Well, with our new design, the plastic borders only offer accessible entries at that one ramp location. Well, our new design is really accessibility around the entire playground in 360 degrees. So sometimes those raise to the top a little bit more because accessibility is a major consideration for us. So. Yeah.
Also, just a random question, how often do we like revamp a park? Like how long does a park last usually?
Oh, great question. Well, our industry standard right now says a playground's possibly going to get us about 20-25 years. So I know that Tony and his crew do everything they can. Obviously, we're not doing full renovations, like if they're going to do panels or they're doing swing sets. These guys, Tony has, in fact, Robert, if you guys have met Robert, he started with me just under a year now. He just graduated from playground school here within the last month. So we got many qualified people that go to school in smart board. It is a thing. It is absolutely a thing. It's a very tough test. I will say that. So you can bug Tony about that. I think Robert scored a little bit better than him on this one. So if anybody wants any material,
Like go fast, you can go down the slide.
all I could do is we can take that one.
Yeah.
Example for going.
say, and maybe you had a slide, and I know there were some data and stats on there, but do we know, did we compile how many total responses we received across all the playground? I mean, was there a slide that had all that? Okay, I know,
Yes.
can we, sorry,
Like 60
backwards?
Yep.
Thank you, okay. So, and then did we track, like, so the 277, 273, which ones were Fargo, which ones were outside of Fargo?
Yeah, I
Okay.
have all that incremental data. It gets very, very nitty gritty.
Well, I mean, I have to get the full list of it, but I think maybe it was, and I know I wasn't at the planning meeting to kind of go through the full discussion, but I think it's kind of surprising me reading through how many people were like, I don't live in Fargo, and where I live, we don't have these kind of playgrounds, and not as a negative thing or as like, you know, but I think just sort of observational note of like how much the cities and the community is kind of becoming all blended together, and how much non-Fargo residents are using Fargo amenities. It's a good thing, I would look at it too.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm just curious, and I was also glad to hear that we did weigh the Fargo residents do get a stronger vote.
Yes.
And the neighborhood kids too.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great
much
idea.
so. They
Very
went
cool.
to selected neighborhoods, so we could see if they were, how far they are from it, like very, very granular in terms of geolocation.
Yeah, and I think it's just another, you know, kind of, as always going to, it's like getting the community to understand the intentionality of these things, and even playgrounds, like, well, what should it look like, what are the features, and getting people to just go, it's not just a slide in a swing, and here's your, you know, slap them up, and being more intentional on how we're doing it, and asking those neighborhoods what they're looking for. So very, very cool, awesome. Thanks for the work. And you can see you're excited about it too.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was fun. This is why I'm excited about this role, so happy to be here. Happy to do it.
Love it. Good stuff.
All right. Anybody wanna make a motion?
I can make the motion. Motion to approve the 2026 playground replacement project bids as presented.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Zoe. Any further discussion? All right, Jeff, please pull board.
Commissioner Deutsch.
Aye.
Commissioner Gutsy.
Aye.
Commissioner Hill.
Aye.
Commissioner Dawson.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 5, now 4, on the agenda is the governance committee update. Commissioner Hill.
All right, so we met on Wednesday, March 25th at 8:15 a.m. here at the Sports Center. Our first item, we did have, we added a sort of public comment portion to it. We did have one individual attend and made some comments in the meeting. After that, we moved on to review and discuss the governance policies. So it was staff accountability and authority of the executive director. And I think more specifically was the executive director is the single point of contact. And Susan had sort of mentioned that throughout the last year, the commissioners seem to be following, adhering to that policy, and it didn't seem like there was any concerns from staff. So long story short, the policies we all approved, most of us approved, seem to be working and working the way they should. And there were no recommended changes to that policy. So then we moved on to emergency succession and asset protection. We did, I think there was one sort of non-compliant portion of that, which I think Susan had sort of mentioned, work in progress, getting updates. We did also sort of have a brief discussion about fitting IT policies or IT policies into this at some point. I don't think there was any sort of formal request at this time, but just sort of plant the seeds for now to potentially put that sort of IT monitoring under the emergency succession and asset protection. And then we discussed there will be an election on June 9th, and probably not a secret by now, I'm not running for park board again, so there will at least be one new commissioner, potentially more, but at least one new commissioner elected in June. And as of our new governance policies, we do have a board training process. And so we sort of just had a discussion to make sure everybody's aware of that process. And of course, we typically have our transition of elected officers in July. So potentially Commissioner Dawson is president through the election, but then July could be a changeover. But just making sure that we are sort of trying to follow the process of the new board training as best we can, and sort of a reiteration that what we had created is not exactly, does not have to be followed to the T, is more of a guideline depending on who gets elected and what their knowledge is of the park system. And that was it. It was a pretty quick meeting. Any questions? Concerns? Beautiful.
Okay, moving on to the update on the meeting that wasn't as quick. Shocker. So, three of these things we've already addressed today in this meeting, with the siding improvement project bids, the shop drainage improvement project bids, and the playground project bids, all which were approved tonight. In addition to that, we had an update on Orchard Glen, which has been going on for some time. Just neighborhood people, residents who live near it, trying to figure out the roadway, how we're gonna work with this, with the connection between the county, the residents, and us. And really, it was more of an update of what's the current status and where we want to go with this. So this is an ongoing situation that we're going to continue to work on what we want our long-term formal action to be. We also have an update on the sports center lease agreement that we have with Sanford, and Kaylee and others have been working on this with Sanford, trying to clean up some of it, maybe be more clear on some of it, make some changes that work. Some better for us, some better for them, some better for all of us together. And so that's an ongoing thing that we're working on. And then Brock and Luke brought us year-end preliminary numbers on how 2026 shook out, and looks like we're doing all right. And that also included, obviously, Valley Senior Services and Course Plus and our capital projects funds as well. And then told us that the auditors were going to be here, and I'm assuming they might even be done, or they're here now.
And we're wrapping that up now with just final documentation for them and waiting for their formal findings, and then prepare for planning next week.
So, like we've done every year, the auditors come out, make sure we're doing things like we need to. We've never really had any issues. It's just something that we need to do, and it works very well for us. And so we have the external auditors, and then they give us an overall presentation on how we did, and if there's any suggestions they have, and really kind of benchmark us with other park districts and how we should be doing as a government agency. So, anybody have any questions? Anybody have anything else under other? Okay.
I'm ready to golf.
I think said you're ready to go.
No, ready to golf.
You're not like, no.
Ready to run. Ready to run.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He's ready to run. All right, we have a motion to adjourn.
So.